Yo, what's up? What's up? It's the Hungry Millennial back again with yet another proactive pragmatism. This next guest that I'm going to be bringing on to Millennials Are is captivating, inspirational, and motivational. Her story is so powerful that I just had to have her on the podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Miss Shantel Rogers. Yo, Chantel,
What's good?
welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You a hard person to track down between you traveling the world, you know what I'm saying? You got the whole
Oh,
scholar thing going on, you know what I'm saying? You be out here living your best life, but I can't even blame you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. No, I'm just out here trying to make something out of nothing.
Oh, okay, that's powerful. So before we go deep into this something out of nothing, give the audience a background on who Chantel is, who she was, who she became, and who she is now.
Okay, well, Chantel is Chantel is. We'll start there. Like literally, Chantel is. Um,
Okay.
she exists. Like we have to like really get down to like the core of our being, and to figure out who we are, we have to realize like we're humans, like before we're anything else. So like we exist. I
That's
am.
real.
I
That's
am.
real.
So Chantel is Chantel. I am a 27, about to be 28-year old new entrepreneur.
Okay.
Um, I am a nerd, kind of. No, I'd like to think that I'm pretty cool. Uh,
Okay. That's
I'm the
debatable, but you know.
I, I'm the homie. I'm the homie. Chantel is the homie. So Chantel is um she's driven. So I am you said my story. My story. So well, where you want to start, I guess.
Okay. So let's start, I guess, when your life kind of got shaken upside down.
Okay. Well, before I tell you how it got shaken upside down, I guess I can tell you how it was smooth before it
Okay.
kind of teetered. Okay,
Okay.
so I've always been the type of person that did really well, like in school. It
Mhm.
came natural to me. I didn't have to work for it.
Mm.
Uh, I was always the smart kid. Got straight A's, uh, all the way up through high school. I mean, I graduated high school with like a 4.26. Uh,
Mm.
I know, right?
Without trying.
Yeah,
She
without
said I
trying.
had all the smoke.
Without trying. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a couple of AP classes that gave me a little bit of a run for my money, like at the end. But like through like public education, it came easy. Like
Oh,
I just did it. Okay, so
okay.
it came easy to me. So therefore, uh, I knew I was going to college. Um, like it was something that I mean I didn't really second guess it because like you were taught that college is what makes you successful.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like you go through school, you get good grades, you go to college, and you get a good job, and that's how you live a good life.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of just naturally what I picked up.
Mm.
So I mean, I don't get me wrong, like I had family that cared, but we weren't rich by any means. So like
Mm.
if I was gonna go to school, I had to put me there. You know what I mean? So like there was nobody who taught me. Nobody went to college. Like I was the first one to do it. So there was nobody around me to tell me how to do it, and how to do it cost effectively and things like that. But I had my own initiative, so I did it myself. I did my own research, um, found my own funding. I mean, I was smart, so there were people offering me funding. I had options, so that helped. That helped, and just my initiative and my own drive, like I figured it out. So my first year of college, I got paid to go to school. Actually, I got money back with all of my funding. After my school costs were covered, like that money came to me. And the second year was almost the same. I had to come out of pocket a little bit. I had to spend a couple racks, but so I was going to nursing school. I was putting myself through nursing school. I always knew that what I wanted to do with my life was help people, and I didn't really know how I wanted to help people. So nursing was kind of just a default. Like I knew that it was a stable industry. I'd always have a job, and I mean it's direct care, so I'd be helping people. So I kind of just went ahead and said nursing. So if I was gonna do nursing, I wanted to be the best at it. So one of the schools that wanted me to come there that was offering me money just so happened to be one of the best nursing schools in Illinois. So I went there. First year good. Did everything that I was supposed to do. Got admitted to the nursing program. Like checking off all of my boxes. Like all of my boxes. All of the goals that I set before myself, like accomplishing them. Boom, 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 boom. Like goals that I mean it was kind of it was a big accomplishment that I reached it because it was very easy for me not to. Like that was one of the best nursing schools in Illinois. It was hard to get in. It was very competitive. Um, but I didn't know this before I went to the school, but a lot of people didn't even get in first year. They had to wait until sophomore year, which means that they would even be further behind. Like all of those things, all of those odds stacked against me. Like I said, I had to put myself through school, which means that I also had to take care of myself while I was at school. So I worked, maintained a full-time load. Our minimum was 17 credit hours. Like we ranged anywhere from like 19 to 17 credit hours for a load. So if anybody is familiar with like school, bro, like that's a job, literally.
That's a lot.
You're in class from the time that you wake up till the sun goes down. Like
No, that's real.
you know what I mean? Like so
I took 20 in college, so it
yes,
was a beast.
yeah. So it was hectic. It was heavy.
Mm.
And so did that first year, worked. I maintained a job at school first year. Second year, I worked at home as a CNA. So I would commute back and forth every week and work on the weekends. I worked to doubles on the weekends, you know, to sustain myself.
Mm-hmm.
Second year, got down to the end of the school year, and it was around the time for finals. I was like a couple weeks out from finals, and I found myself in a very odd predicament. And I subsequently ended up being involved in an armed robbery. I was a driver in an armed robbery. And I went from studying for finals to being on the run from the police. Like,
wow.
yeah.
Like about that life.
No.
Like my question, so that's interesting. Like what was the moment for you, Shantel, that you was like, forget it, I'm just about to go get this bag? Like you was just, what clicked in your head at that time? Because a lot of us go through those things. And a lot of people are hiding behind, facades. They've known they've done dirt, but never been caught. But you always kept it 100. So what in your mind, like, was there a pivotal day? Like you just sitting there you know what I'm saying, sitting in the whip like, man, I need some bread right now. Like, what was that like?
Okay, so yes, there were days like that. But okay, so like how it happened was crazy. So like it wasn't like I just sat there and was like, you know what, suit up and boot up. Like forget it.
Like
Let's
set it off. It was
Yeah, it wasn't like I wasn't Cleo. Like I am not Cleo. Let's set the record straight. Like I was not Cleo. Okay, so long story short, a friend of mine owed me some money, and I told him like I don't want to kick it, I don't want to talk, I don't want to do any of that until you figure out a way to get me my money back. And his bright idea, which seemed to be even brighter to me because I went along with it, was to basically like stick up a drug dealer for their drugs, like their weed, and sell it to the people that like we know that sold weed. We didn't sell weed. So like his ideology in the simplest of forms was, who's gonna tell that somebody took their weed, like their drugs? You can't go to the police and say, hey, somebody took my weed. Like,
nah, facts.
so,
Well, and that's real because I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? Struggling. You see that? You know what I'm saying? It's tempting because you're like, you know, it's a drug dealer. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
like,
I never would have even thought of that by myself. Like, the idea was so foreign to me. Like, okay, listen, my parents didn't play. Like, they didn't.
Oh no, they still on your social media not playing.
Oh, they didn't play. Like when I tell you, they were so strict. Like whenever I grew up, didn't play at all. So I never been in trouble. You know what I mean? Like I hadn't none. All of that just seemed, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna lie, a part of it was kind of exciting to me when you think about taking something bad from somebody bad and doing something.
It's that Robin Hood.
Yeah, you kind of. You know what I mean? Like
except Robin in the hood.
Yeah, only we weren't in the hood. We were on a college campus.
Oh, y'all was on campus? This was a campus, homie?
Yeah. We were on a college campus.
Ooh.
We're African American. Our victim is Caucasian. We are in Southern Illinois on a college campus.
I'm from there, so yeah.
So, needless to say, okay, so I didn't think about it before I agreed to it. Like, the seriousness of it didn't even register to me. Like, the crimes that I was committing, it didn't even register to me that that's what was, you know what I'm saying, I was agreeing to. Like, I just didn't think about it. And whenever it happened, like it happened so fast, like, and in the moment, that's when I found out that this person isn't a drug dealer. Like this person isn't, so what do I do? Like, you know what I mean?
Wow.
What do I do? So, I'm not gonna lie, I regretted it immediately. Like I was terrified, and I was one of the perpetrators. So like I can only imagine what my victim, you know, went through. Just because like I'm in the car and like it's hurting my morals, you know what I mean? But what I can't say never mind. Like it's like a tattoo, you know what I mean? Like it's here now. Like what are you gonna do?
Yeah, like you.
So, I really panicked. I'm not gonna lie. Like I just I don't know. And so it happened. It was like right now thinking back to it, it's kind of like a dream. Like I don't know, out of body experience kind of.
Well, it doesn't. There's a dissonance there because it doesn't really correlate with your current reality and who you are today. You know what I mean? And who you were before. Right. That's like these stories right here. These are the stories that like in a lot of non-African American communities, happen and people graze over them and cover them up and give Billy some time off, you know what I'm saying, off of school or whatnot.
Yeah.
And but you don't. Yeah, nah, I get it. So
Yeah.
fast forward. So how much time did you get? How did that whole situation go down?
Okay, so my first offer was 8 years at 50%, and I said absolutely not. Nope, I'm not taking that. Like I couldn't fathom. I couldn't understand. Like honestly, me and God had a conversation, and I'm like, God, nah, this ain't real. Like I know you ain't gonna let it go down like this. Like we cool, you know what I mean? Like, like you know what I mean? Like okay, so I'll just start me and spirituality. It's kind of shifted now. I grew up Christian. Now I classify myself as more spiritual versus religious.
Yeah, no, I get that path. A lot of us had that path. So what year? So what time did you end up getting, and how much did you end up serving? How did that work out?
Okay, so whenever they offered me the 8 at 50%, and I told them absolutely not, I went back to my cell, and like I'm gonna be real, I couldn't handle it. Like I was literally losing my mind in there. I couldn't see outside. Like the phone calls were like $15 for 15 minutes. I wasn't at home. I was 2 hours away from home because I caught my case at school. So like my family and friends had to like travel.
Like nobody, like you ain't had no family, you know, like wow.
Yeah, so my dad, he was staying in Texas at the time. My mom, she passed away when I was a baby, but like my stepmom, my dad's ex-wife, she was around, but like she couldn't commute, you know what I mean? And so my my circle of friends, like I was only in the county for 42 days. Okay. So like on the 43rd day, I was in prison, Logan Correctional. So yeah, listen. Okay, so whenever I first went in, I wouldn't talk to the police. I wouldn't make a statement, none of that. I wouldn't talk to them. After a couple weeks, my dad convinced me to talk and make a statement, but that's a story for another time. But so my dad made me talk. I started communicating with the police against my character. I didn't want to talk to the police. I didn't care what they were talking about at all. Like I didn't give them a chance to talk to me because I just was always, you don't snitch. You don't snitch.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't talk to them at first. And so whenever my dad made me they offered me 8 years at 50%. And I told him no, because I didn't feel like my legacy up until that point warranted me to be punished like that. Because at the time, I was only 20 years old. So 8 years at 50%, that's 4 years. That's 20% of my life. Like, you want me to give you that? Like, dang, like, you want me to give you that? Like, no, I can't. It just seemed like a lifetime to me because, like, of my age. In the beginning, I was 20. And I was facing a minimum of 21 years. And, like, I didn't even know that at first. Like, my dad had to tell me because, like I said, I wouldn't talk to the police. I didn't know what I was facing. So my dad told me, and I couldn't believe it because I wasn't even 21. How are you trying to give me 21 years and I'm not even 21 yet? Like I couldn't.
Nah, it's not, and it still won't. You know what I mean? Like I can't even fathom. Like that's, I mean, a big reason why I even started this was like showing people that you can do different things in life. You know what I'm saying? And that, I couldn't warrant that on anybody. Yeah, and so you ended up. So did you end up doing the whole 8 years?
Well, the first time when they said the 8, and I said no, I went back to my cell. and I realized how crazy I was going. They came back another 2 weeks later, let's say, and was like, "Well, we're offering you 8 at 50. Like this is the lowest we're gonna go. Like
Mm.
our next offer is gonna be higher." And at that point in time, my mental state wasn't there to play poker.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
I was like, "Okay, you're not gonna move. I am. Come on, let's go." So on the 43rd day, I was in Logan Correctional. Um, on the day that I was taking my time, uh, the charge that I pled out to was not the charge that I was going to plead out to. But
Mm.
whenever I was back there signing my paperwork, my attorney brought it to my attention that if I took the time for that charge, it was going to carry I think like a 75 or 85%, like, and if I would have to take this charge, the armed robbery charge, in order to get 50%.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, like whatever. Like, so that day I agreed to take 8 years at 50%, which means that I would have to serve 4 consecutively. And it was a class X felony, so like I wouldn't be eligible for any good time, like no contract, anything to like get me time off of my sentence. I was ineligible for
Wow.
as a first time offender with nothing. So okay, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing you can do. What are you gonna do? Say no and then go take more time? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
It's
okay,
unfathomable.
yes, yes, yes. You never know how strong you are until like you feel
That's
like
the
that's
only
the only
choice.
thing that you can do.
That's it.
So I
And that's interesting. Taking that type of time, like the person that I see now after hearing more in detail, it's like now it makes sense why you so driven. Now it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, we're an amalgamation of all of the decisions and all the things that we failed at doing. You know what I mean? And so that's powerful. And so when you got out, well, like, what did you pre-plan anything before you went in to get out? Like how that was gonna work, or what happened?
okay, so I didn't have any time to do anything before I went in besides tell my family what was going on. And like, okay, so but the from the time that it happened to the time that I turned myself in, not even a week, like maybe a week, but like in that time I went home. The first couple of days, you know what I'm saying, like I avoided it. Like I just couldn't. I told my friends and my close people, but like I couldn't tell my parents yet, and I ended up telling them, and whew, uh long story short, like I went back to Southern Illinois in the area, but I didn't like go to turn myself in yet. I didn't want to turn myself in until I had an attorney. So my people ended up making me turn myself in, and they took care of finding me an attorney. So like the time, like there was no time for me to do any planning. The only planning that I did was at the very end, and I made a plan on what I wanted to execute whenever I came home. I'm not gonna lie to you, the 4 years I didn't I didn't really take advantage of it. Like in retrospect, I didn't take advantage of it like I could have. Like I I could have been in there reading and like doing, you know what I'm saying? Like really, really cultivating my mind. But like to me, that was the first time I had to woosah, to rest. Because I had always been blinders, you know what I mean? Like goal accomplish it, goal accomplish it, goal accomplish it. I think you're muted.
It's good that my bad. It's good that like that like you notice that while you was in there, because a lot of times that'll drive us crazy. You get to the end and you're so successful and everything's going down and all that, and it's like you can't. There's so much that you can't even fathom because you ain't never took a break. Like you ain't never stopped and listened and like smell the roses, be still. One of the things biblically is being still is everything.
So
So,
like
but
I didn't even know what smelling the roses was. To be completely honest with you, like I never took time to indulge in any of my accomplishments. Like whenever I checked something off, it was no longer an accomplishment. It was okay, that's cool, but I'm still not where I
what's next?
Yeah. So like
Yeah,
I didn't celebrate any of it.
that's
Any
what
of it.
we. That's why we gravitate towards each other because I've been like that my whole life. You know, uh, and then you look out and you're like, man, I ain't enjoyed none of this.
What? Everything. Okay, so went through, did my time, did my 4 years, came home. Uh, and like I said, I had a plan. And
Mm-hmm.
whenever I came home, I was executing everything that I had set out. Boom, did it. Boom, did it. Boom, did it. Boom, did it.
Mm.
And I found myself as I was accomplishing everything that I wanted to accomplish, instead of feeling gratified, I felt like horrible. I felt
Mm.
worse. Like anytime I was accomplishing something, I was feeling worse and worse and worse. And everybody around me was like, "What's going on? Why are you feeling like that? You should feel great. Look at all
Mm-hmm.
this. Look at what you've overcome. Look at this. Look at that." And I didn't feel it
Mm.
at all. And it took me to come home and build myself back up
Mm.
and lose it all again. For
Mm.
me to actually start to really hone in on my purpose.
That's interesting because at that point you also digging deeper and trying to find yourself.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
problem is as go getters, we don't have a lot of self love. Like we trying to fill every piece of love for ourselves with books and accolades and certificates and career goals and money goals because that's what the gram tells us to do. I'm the same way. But when I started loving myself a little bit more, I ain't gonna lie, you inspired me a lot. Like my Florida trip was inspired by you. Like people's like, "Oh, you going down there because you got honeys or something?" And I'm like, "Nah, that's not even me. I just went down to chill and work. You know me, I just be chilling. Like, oh, I don't turn up. You know what I mean?" But that's strong. So you in the process of building everything up, and then you were trying to find your purpose. So
Yeah.
is it false for me to say that Chantel Scholars was your purpose,
Shantel Scholars
or did your purpose fuel
tutoring
that? How do
service.
those two things?
Shantel Scholars tutoring service. Okay, so like I said, I lost it. So I lost it all again.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta touch on that. So I came home, uh, got a series of different jobs, each one better than the last one. Whenever I came home, I immediately enrolled in school for
Mm-hmm.
business and marketing. Um, was in school, like getting good grades, um, like just accomplishing everything. Uh, I ended up I took some time for me, uh, so I thought, and prepared myself. So I thought for a relationship, and I got in one, and the person I was with had children, so like I had just accumulated everything, everything that I wanted that I thought was gonna help make me feel whole. And slowly but surely, each of those things that I had acquired were removed from me. And so I lost my job that I had. I had got to a salaried level position. Like, I had built myself up to, I wasn't even qualified for the position. And whenever I first got it, and I got it, I was in school, graduated during COVID. I graduated like with honors. I graduated with my degrees and certificates in business and marketing. Um, I broke up with my significant other and moved out from that living situation. And so everything that I had, boom, I got, boom, I got, boom, I want, I got, boom, it was gone instantaneously. Like, right in that moment, instantaneously. And I felt like my world was over again. Like, kind of like the same feelings that I had whenever I caught my case. Like, what do I do now? Like,
wow.
what am I supposed to be doing now? Like, and I fell into a very dark spot, depressed, like heavy. I had never experienced anything like it because I had always been a very positive and upbeat and charismatic, optimistic person. And I was the complete opposite of that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it got to the point where, like, I didn't even know who I was at all. Like, who is this person? Like, who is this miserable person? And it for a minute, like, I sat and wallowed in my sorrows, and like I blamed everybody but me. And then I started taking accountability for my actions and the parts that I played, and accountability for my life, and like my faith, like the small amount that I still held on to. I just focused on that a little bit, and the universe started helping me out and giving me more reasons to believe. And yeah, and like, it's crazy because in the beginning I didn't get it. I was seeking guidance, and nobody had the answers for me. Like, I was trying to explain to people how I was feeling. Nobody understood. The people, like, now, the people that did understand, oh, you're just growing. Oh, you're just, what? Like,
it's so hard to hear when you're going through it, ain't it?
Yeah, you're like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to tell you that I don't feel right, and you're telling me I'm growing. Like, no, but you're not hearing me. You're not hearing me. No, I do hear you, but you, and like, it pissed me off. Like, it pissed me off. Like, you don't want to hear somebody say all these cliche things whenever you're going through it. Like, you feel like they just don't get it. Like, bro, you don't get it. You're not feeling me. You're not hearing me. And don't get me wrong, some people weren't. But there were some people that knew where I was coming from, and they were trying to be my cushion, the little buffer, like, hey, and I'm just like, ah! It's like, no, it ain't right. It ain't right. And so whenever I spent some time with myself and like so I had started going to therapy. Like, huge advocate, like, mental health is very important, and oftentimes, like, in our culture, the importance of it is like, it's not there. And like, mental health is so important. So like, whenever I was in my relationship, she kind of made me go to therapy. And so, like, I started going to therapy, and it started to help me. And yes, it it started to help me. So like, but this was before everything like went downhill. I started going to therapy. Whenever I lost my job and stuff, I lost my insurance. So like everything that I was doing health wise ceased immediately. So I couldn't go to therapy anymore. The medication that they had me on, I couldn't take. You know what I mean? Like I had just been diagnosed with like major depressive disorder and ADHD and OCD and like and anxiety. Like I had 4 different diagnoses, and like they had just like they were regulating my medication, like all of that, and then boom, like it stops. So like, what do I do? You know what I mean? What do I do? So in retrospect, it was teaching me, you know, you don't have to have medication to make it through this kind of stuff. Like it's hard, but you got to figure out another way. Yeah. So bro, like when I tell you, I just had so many like epiphanies. Like whenever I was in this room, like wouldn't talk to nobody. I'm talking about like wouldn't eat, wouldn't shower, like down. Bad, huh? You know, like the stories that you hear people talking about depression, like I felt it. And I had never experienced anything like that before in my life. And I only let myself stay there for a little bit. And I was like, oh no. But I remember there was a time, like when I was happy, I remember there was a time that I felt better than this. So like I know, like, nah, this can't be it for forever. So I started working, you know, to get up out of that. And since I didn't have insurance and stuff anymore, my friend has Wi-Fi. So YouTube University, you know what I mean? Like, so I started looking up videos, how to deal with this, how to deal with this, how to, you know, like, okay. I didn't have anything but that. And so I started listening. I started listening to the advice of others. And like I said, the universe just started handing me gifts. You know what I mean? Like I was down and out. I had cut myself off from the world. Like I was not. Oh, I know. Like I wasn't talking to nobody. So like out the blue, you know, like different friends like hit me up. Like there was this one guy that we were cool in high school. Like we would speak and stuff. I mean, like I was the type of person that was cool with everybody. Like, yeah, I was popular, but like I was smart too. So like, I mean, I was just cool with everybody. And so this guy and I, we weren't like friends in high school. We would just speak cordial. And so whenever I was depressed, he reached out to me on like Facebook, and I'm talking about was just hitting me with like encouraging like stuff. He didn't know, you know, from a can of paint that what I was going through. And like it was like an angel, you know. To me it was like an earthly angel. And it would be crazy because like I would be down and he would like send some inspirational words, and I'd just be like, what? Like, you don't even know like how much I needed to hear that, how impactful that was. And not just him, like a lot of my friends. And just things just start happening. Good things just start happening whenever I started shifting my energy and my thoughts and my mind. And I was just like, okay, well, there's got to be something to this. Like, let me look more into it. And like, so that it's helped me to start on the journey that I'm on today, in my mission.
Okay, so let's talk about this mission.
Okay, so you know, you asked me, Shantel Scholars, what is Shantel Scholars? So what Shantel Scholars is is my breakout into entrepreneurship. Whenever I got laid off, whenever I said I lost it all,
Mhm.
I started a tutoring service because I got laid off because of COVID. Um, the A lot of parents were in like crisis because schools, like they were shutting down because of COVID. Like they felt like their children were missing out. And like I said, school is my thing. It's always been something I've been good at. It came natural to me, like I said. So I started Shantel Scholars Tutoring Service because it was, it was something that I didn't have to put any effort into.
Mm.
Uh, Whenever I got laid
But
off,
that's real.
yeah, my best friend, she made me read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
I
Like
love that book.
immediately, yeah. Immediately, whenever I got laid off, she made me read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Mind you, I don't read books. Like it wasn't something that I did, and I read that book, and it completely changed my perspective, like
Mm.
forever. And I realized that I don't want to work for anyone ever again in my life. I want to work for
Mm.
myself. And so Chantel Scholars was my first leap into that area. So when I say my first leap, that's literally what it is. I don't plan to grow my tutoring service. As a matter of fact, I'm, I'm if somebody called me personally or hit me up personally and needed my services, I would help. But right now, that's not. I'm actually working on a couple other things.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, that's real, but that's also powerful in itself because you never know how that seed plants itself, and there are so many opportunities within it. But I'm super glad that you read that book as well because that was one of the first books that I read. Uh, some I'm gonna name drop a couple books here that you might want to check out. The Millionaire Next Door. Uh, the
Hold
million.
on. You're dropping gems. Hold on.
Okay, so the Millionaire Next Door, and then there's the follow up book that is The Millionaire Mind. And so both of those books go hand in hand because they address what millionaires do, the successful ones do, and what they don't do. And especially in a time like right now with COVID and everything going on, like it's one of those things where we have a lot of more opportunities than we ever have before. And like even with this YouTube channel, like there's a lot more viewership now than ever before because a lot of people at home getting unemployment, you know. Uh, And so, but yeah, hey, do what you need to do. That's why, like, a lot of people, they be posting memes and talking about how people don't want to go to work. I'm like, this is a blessing for a lot of people to get from underneath that rock that's
Yes.
holding them down. Like my whole deployment, when I deployed, I'm going to deploy again to wipe out the student loans. But everything else, Chantel, remember I had the car that didn't work? You know what I'm saying? It broke down, the one that looked like yours. Uh,
See,
and
I've been upgraded now. I upgraded before. Okay, so like, listen, when I tell
okay.
you everything is so calculated, like,
Hmm.
so I got a new car, a new vehicle in like June or July. I
Hmm.
got laid off in October. I needed
Hmm.
a new vehicle, but I wasn't going to purchase. Like somebody made me an offer for my car that was kind of like too good to be true. So I was like, okay. Everything was still good. Me and my relationship at the time, like everything was going smooth. There was
Hmm.
no inclination in my mind, like a couple months from now, like none of this will be. So like
Hmm.
I got I got a new car. Like I mean my credit's good, all of that.
Yeah,
Like
I know how you
got a
rock.
great deal. You know what I mean? Like everything just lined up for me. And then I got laid off. So like I wouldn't have been able to get this vehicle now because of because I don't have proof of income. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I'm a new
yeah.
entrepreneur. They wouldn't approve me for the loan, even though my credit is phenomenal. You know, like they
Mhm.
wouldn't care. But
Yeah.
it happened before, you know what I mean? So like my steps, I'm I'm favored, I'm guided. Like,
Yeah.
and it took me a minute to, you know what I'm saying, really accept it and tap into it. But like now I'm walking in faith. Like all
That's
I know,
powerful.
yeah, definitely. All I know is I just have to set my intentions and put in
Yes.
the work, and like it's gonna happen.
Yes. Yes. And that's, that time you went through where you had to be by yourself. So Coach Tony Dungy, he was a championship coach for the uh, Indianapolis Colts. He had a long career, stuff like that. But he wrote this book called Silent Strength or Quiet Strength. And it was all about being still in the silence of the moment and owning that pain and sitting with that pain. Sometimes that's the best thing we can ever do. And once I
Yeah.
started sitting with it and I
Woo!
examined the anxiety
Man.
and God, like, whatever people believe in, he's like,
Yeah.
be still, know who I am, go to work, put in the work.
Facts.
Once I'm still putting in the work, the days fly past. I got some overtime. I got this. Things just start flying off the shelf. Before that, I didn't even know the deployment was going to come up. And I got a call one day from, I was hurting financially. I was about to file for bankruptcy. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was going to do it. I had 100 grand worth of debt. That's student loans with everything else. And something was like, start the Dave Ramsey plan. Get you a savings plan. Then a couple weeks after I had saved the small amount that they asked you to save in the savings plan, I get a phone call. How you feel about going to Kuwait? And I'm on my route, you know what I'm saying? I just left ADM, whatever. I'm sitting there like, and then he was like, you about to pin captain though, right? So you could make it while you over there. And I was like, this can't be nothing but God right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I left, and 2 months in, I got promoted to captain, and then I got back paid. So I wiped out everything. The only thing left is student loans. And it was powerful because every moment I had to learn how to be still and sit down. It's like, sit your butt down and own this pain, own these decisions that you've made. And once, Chantel, another book is Extreme Ownership. But once you start taking extreme ownership, which is what you already did, everything just gets out of your way. Because if it's a problem, it's like, if it's to have, I'm going to go get it. Because you got that dog inside of you. It's just about channeling that beast. And once you start doing that, it's beautiful. Once you started doing that, you start seeing bloop, 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 bloop. And the Millionaire Mind talks about having a vocation. Your vocation was school and study and a lot of that. So you got the education up here. And the more that you start to walk in, we have similar paths with different jobs and stuff like that. But I take a little bit from every job. Even though I hate what, I might be doing at a certain time, I'm like, ooh, write that down. I can use this later. And it starts to change everything. So it's super powerful. I'm glad you shared your story with us because that's really hard. Most people ain't gonna get on here and talk about how they caught a felony and doing all that stuff. And you're the lead. Like if somebody was to look at you, like, oh hey, felony, come on now, you know what I'm saying? Like,
So like I didn't understand at first. It took for me to come home and deal with some things to really realize that like it's part of my purpose.
yeah,
I was okay, so it wasn't I'm an anomaly. So
yeah,
it was an anomaly for me to be so intelligent and to accomplish the things that I accomplished based on
Thanks.
my circumstances. So that was
100%.
an anomaly.
Yeah,
Me catching my case was an anomaly because of the type of person that I am. Like that's not in my character. So me catching my case is an anomaly. Me coming home and reaching the heights that I've already reached. Like people don't even understand what I have in here. What I'm getting ready to make happen. Like that's an anomaly. Like that's an anomaly. But the type of person that I am, I'm not just gonna go through something and sit on it.
Oh,
Like
facts.
I'm a I'm gonna be impactful with it. I'm gonna help somebody with it. So like I had to be taken to that space to get that experience so I can help other people. You know what I mean? Like I would have never been exposed to that environment on my
You
own.
cooking because when you add value to other people's lives, guess what comes back to you tenfold? Value.
What?
Money? Nah. You could throw that away.
Man,
But value will
listen,
take you farther places than money ever will.
give it away. Give your
Yeah.
game away. You give away
Yeah.
so much game and provide so much value. People are begging to work with you. Begging. You
Just
don't
to be
have
around you.
it's mindset. It's
Yeah.
mindset. When
Yeah.
people live in scarcity, because I was once there. I'm not there anymore. When people live in scarcity, you know what I mean? They feel like, especially in business, if they're living
Yeah.
in scarcity and in business, they feel like they got to make a dollar here, there. They're doing it wrong. You know what I mean? They're doing it wrong. If you give people value, if you give people things that they need, you're building a relationship.
Yeah, and
And they're not
the
trying to
flame
convince
burns
them to buy
hot.
from you. They're trying to
Yeah.
convince you to work with them. Your
Yeah.
waiting list is going to be so long. Like, people be asleep. They're asleep.
Sleep. But hey, you know what? Chantel, don't you can't wake all of them up. You feel me? Whoever gonna
Yeah.
gravitate to the knowledge gonna gravitate to it because we can't have everybody out here eating. Everybody can, but 9 times out of 10, everybody won't because they got all these excuses. And that's why I brought you on because I'm like, big dog, you ain't got no excuse in the world. You feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like anybody. You know what I mean? Like, give it some effort and give it time. You know, people they talk about, oh yeah, they want it instant. Most of the people that you see that are successful in music, basketball, any of those things, anything, pick one. Been doing it for years, 3 to 5 to 10 years.
Check
And
this
there's
out.
this falsity. Go ahead.
Man, check this out. It's crazy you say that because I'm impatient. Like, mad impatient. Mad impatient. Like, I want it done 2 seconds ago. Okay?
Facts.
So, like, I'm notorious for trying to build Rome in a day. Like, that's
But there's that entrepreneurial in you too.
What? Listen, it's drive. Okay, but listen. So, one of the mentorship programs that I invested in, we just had a conference in Miami, and all of the people that got up on the stage, like I'm talking about this. I mean, it's big people. Rick Ross, Floyd Mayweather, like I'm talking about like the podcast $1 million worth of game. Like they shot up a podcast there. EYL or Your Leisure. Like they were like it was big. And so everybody that got up, they were telling their story. Like it just sounded like mine. You know what I mean? Like every successful person, like they have a template. Like their life has a template. And I picked up on it. Like, you know, they experience hardship. They do good. They fall back down. Like they have this journey, and then they end up where they want to be. Like every single time. And you know, I've concluded that, you know, the road to failure and success looks the same, like the exact same. The only difference is with success, you just keep going. But like,
just keep moving them legs.
There was nothing that they said up on that stage aside from like proprietary things, like niche specific like things like marketing and stuff like that, e-commerce or whatever. Aside from that, everything that they said, I've said before. Like, so like in that moment, sitting in that seat, it was just being revealed to me like I am them, they are me. Like this is coming from me because it's what I want and it's what I'm working towards. So like whenever I was before I started reaching a little bit of enlightenment, whenever I was first going through it, I didn't get it, and it didn't make any sense. And all of the advice for people who did really know what I was going through, it didn't make sense to me. But like whenever I started to actually lean into it and take heed to it, like, and embrace it, embrace that hurt and that pain, and figure out why I was feeling it. What is my purpose in feeling it? What is this teaching me so I can move on to my next thing? Like life is like a game. It's like
It is.
Mario Bros. You know what I mean? Like you have to get certain things to move on. Like you can't skip levels to success. Like just like
you know, skipping levels.
You know what I mean? Just like you can't skip like life phases. You don't come out just running. You know what I mean? Like you got to learn how to sit up and hold your head up, and then you got to learn how to, there's things that you have to do before you can do this. So the same things apply to business and
mastery.
Anything. You know what I mean? Like you have to do these things before you can do these things, which are going to allow you to do these things. You know what I mean? Like we be trying to come here and jump straight up. We can't do that.
Nah, it's all about the process. You can't skip the process.
Can't skip the process.
Because the process is what's gonna make you.
And if you do skip steps in the process, like it's just like a building. Like it's not gonna last. It's gonna
it's gonna crumble.
You're gonna get a leak, and there's gonna be something that's not as strong as it needs to be. And because it's not as strong as it needs to be, eventually it's gonna buckle from all the pressure. You know what I mean? You're gonna get to you're gonna grow to a certain point, and then you're gonna fall because you skip steps.
That's true. That's true.
If you don't cement your foundation down and you start building on top of it, what you gonna do?
You're gonna sink, like saying. But so as we get towards the end of the podcast, I don't want to hold you on too long. You know what I'm saying? Greatness deserves sleep as well. You know what I'm saying? No rest, no greatness. So is there any questions that you have for me before we wrap up the podcast?
Yes.
You get one. You know what I'm saying? Because I gotta have you on again.
Well, yeah. Yes. So my question for you is, all right, so one of my things that one of my services that I'm gonna be rolling out with, not right away, but it's a goal. Is a marketing agency. So obviously, I'm gonna be in the business of building brands. And like what's a brand without a podcast? You know what I mean? So like how what does the process of you creating your podcast and like the evolution of that, what does it look like? Because like
the evolution, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, I don't have a podcast, and I'm going to be working. I'm gonna have a team. But
Shantel, guess what? Guess what? You don't need a team. You got a smartphone. Your camera looks fantastic right now. That's how I started. If you look at my old YouTube videos, I literally just started talking, and then I got with somebody else. See, you said building a team. Well, I got with somebody else who was cool. That's my guy. I had a podcast that I dropped Sunday with him, and we talked about it. I was too much beast. So, some told me just start. And so I Googled how, platforms for podcasts. I came across Anchor, the Anchor app, and I just started doing it audio. And so start with the audio format, go to anchor.com, figure out what you want to talk about first. Then you go to anchor.com, type that in, and then you can start setting it up, naming it, dropping a thumbnail in there. So the first thing that you need to do is get started. Now, tomorrow, get your format together. You got the education. See, one thing that I knew about was in college, I took a lot of graphic design classes, but I was a communication major. But see, people sleep on communication because they're like, oh, that's a communication major, But it was organizational and corporate communication. So I knew about what different colors popped and what different schemes to throw together to create a decent logo. I studied those things.
That's marketing.
So, yeah. And so without even taking a marketing class, but a vocation helped me out in getting there. But you got to start. Just like you got the website, everything that you got in here with the missions and the services on this end with that, with a podcast, you just literally got to start.
Okay, yeah.
And
with the website, I know you're featuring it and all of that. For the people that are going to be seeing it, I'm not going to lie to you. That website is getting ready to be revamped into something else. Like I said, I'm not really going to be pursuing the tutoring service. If you
that's cool.
My inbox, need me to tutor you. But
I just wanted to show the magic of what you threw together, because a lot of people won't even get to the point where they have something to blow up.
I made it myself.
Really? Wow. Okay. Then you got the juice then. You asking me how to start a podcast, you just better start talking, because you got the juice. You start your YouTube channel with a Gmail account, and then you just start posting. You can go live all the time. And people love Shantel. So they're going to tune in just because they love Shantel. So,
they love Shantel? Well, I love
But I mean, the biggest piece of advice I have for you is get started and don't stop. Because this interview, even though I've only watched 5 or 6 episodes already, this is going to be like number 17 or 18 that I've done. So like 2-3 nights a week, I'm doing podcasts. I'm reaching out, doing these. And then I just keep going and going and going. And I really don't look up, I'm just like, okay, next week. I got a whole calendar book of everybody that I got set up. And it just starts with a little conversation. Like when you're reaching out to people to even have guests on the podcast, you say, hey, how do you feel about this? Don't get any ego investment in it. If they say no or nah, I ain't got nothing to talk about, I just keep it moving. I ignore it. We've been through adversity before. We've heard no so many times that it don't even faze us like that. So
how do you not take your no's personal?
Because one thing is, I've been in the military for a long time. And in high school, I wasn't popular, so I got a lot of no's. I got a lot of shutdowns. I got roasted a lot. So a lot of it's just resilience and going through it. But you got to realize, like, a no is a no before you ask. So there's either one or two things that can happen. You get something or no change. That's it. You gotta sit with that. Like you either win or you win, because you ain't take no L. What did you lose? You free. You free out here. You out here in the regular world. You got all the freedom in the world.
That was deep. You gotta run that one back by the people. Say that one again. What?
You lose. I mean, you don't lose nothing. There's nothing there.
You said a no is a no before you ask.
Yeah, a no was a no in the first place. So now you can get a yes.
You either win or you win.
Or you win. Ain't no L. What L did you just take?
None, because you haven't lost anything.
Exactly. We don't take L's. We learn. The only L we're gonna take is a learning lesson. That's it. We don't fail, we grow. Some of my greatest opportunities came from somebody shutting me down, and then all of a sudden your vision. They talk about this in the military, the millionaire mindset. Is your vision starts to change. So when you hear that no, your mind starts to process all the different ways you can get people to say yes. So I also read books about negotiation and psychology and human nature. Don't go for the yes, go for the no first. Shoot so they turn you down. Identify the negative. So, for instance, hey, I know you're busy. I know you're a busy person. Would you mind coming on my podcast? Would you mind sparing just an hour? I know you got a lot going on. That took all the blow out of that entire conversation. Now they want to talk about what they got going on. And if they say no this time and you hear what they got going on in their life, it's a way that you can start having conversations with them later down the road. Because that no is only a no now. It might be a yes later when you got more of a platform and more experience. So you might have a better podcast with them. Also, don't run away from feedback. Feedback is important. So every podcast that I do, I send out a feedback like questionnaire, and I use it. Like a couple weeks ago, I got some feedback that said, I need more structure. So the questions that I sent you prior to was a part of that structure that I took from that information that was free that he gave me. And that's going to change your life. That's going to change your whole process. I'll write things down and I'll run to the no's. Tell me no. I want you to tell me no. Because then I'm just going to come back stronger. And then the ones that didn't want to be on the podcast, watch, they see you do 30 episodes. They're like, ooh, okay. They didn't believe. Now they believe. You stay consistent enough, you already got a footprint. And it's the internet, so it stays. Somebody in 5 years might come across your podcast and it might change their whole life.
I intend for man, we'll have to talk.
We will. Yeah.
I got some stuff I'm working on.
You good? My line is always open. We can sit down, chop it up. I'll even get out notes and we can just sit down, write stuff down. You know what I'm saying?
Completely honest with you, like when I'm working on it, I mean, it might be out there. I might not have to, I'm saying, really explain to them.
Okay. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it offline. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been a podcast with the outstanding, the motivational, inspirational, gracious, extremely gracious person, Shantel Rogers. Shantel, we appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Again, I feel honored. I feel honored to be here. Thank you for having me. And thank you everybody for tuning in to this is deep. This is my first one.
And it won't be your last. So
no.
All right.
Thank
Ladies and gentlemen, Shantel Rogers.